Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your COVID-filled host, David.
Hello, COVID-filled host David. I'm Brian. I don't have COVID yet, but maybe I'll get it. Who knows? Blow it miles from you. That's your superpower. Is you just have the ability to blow COVID around.
No, my superpower is everything goes wrong with my podcast every single week. Therefore, I've got no
That's
background.
True. I do. This is what we're talking about. RRR.
RRR.
But before we get into the wonderful thing that RRR is, which
Brian?
we haven't really talked about it yet. It sounds like we both might like it based on the minimal one sentence we sent to each other.
We did. We sent. We try not to talk about things before we talk about them on the podcast.
Right, we don't talk about things.
Except with,
we'll send a sentence. We'll send a sentence or two after we watch something.
Rings of Power, we kind of. At least
we were trying to figure out what to say so it didn't sound like we wanted to burn the world down.
No, I'm pretty sure I want to burn Amazon down, but that's
okay. Never mind. Then the mission was a failure. Mission failed.
Yeah.
But before we get into RRR, the news, David, we have news. In our news, I'm going to start it off with James Gunn's DCU extended world tour. I don't know what he wants to do. Whatever the heck James Gunn's doing. It sounds like he likes the Flash movie, which, oh, bring it on. That movie was supposed to come out in 2019. Did you know that? Did you know that Flash movie was supposed to come out in 2019?
We talked about the Flash movie ad nauseum when we worked in the same place together years ago. Like they were filming it then.
Yeah, that was. Well, we're approaching probably five years at that point.
Like when Trump was coming into office, we were talking about the Flash movie because also
yes.
Because another coworker was talking to us about that quite often as well.
Okay.
So these conversations happen around the same time. Just to put this into perspective about how long this Flash movie's been in development.
How long we've been talking about can it come out because Brian likes the Flash.
Brian likes the Flash.
But it sounds like we do kind of have. I watched James Gunn had a video and he kind of explained what his plans kind of are for the next couple of years. Obviously, it sounds like he has way more than just the next couple of years. It sounds like he has pretty extensive plans. But I didn't hate it. I thought I was pretty positive. I have a pretty positive outlook on what he was saying. I don't know. I do trust James Gunn, even though there are some caveats to trusting Hollywood people. But so far, everything he's done has been at least good. It's been above average. Everything he's done, I think, has been above average when compared to the rest of superhero stuff. Am I fair to say that, David?
Yeah, except for Suicide Squad, I thought that was kind of just average. But Peacemaker was amazing, and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were really good. So
yeah. So he plans on restarting everything. It sounds like Flashpoint's going to work out for him because they're going to reset everything, and that's what James Gunn is going to do anyway. So I guess the Flash movie ultimately sounds like it's going to work for them. Because I know for years we were like, this doesn't make any sense. They've established two characters, and now they're doing Flashpoint, which resets everything. So now they need to reset everything to get rid of the old characters to bring in the new ones.
But part of his announcement didn't make sense. Because first of all, he's like, yeah, we need the Flash movie to reset everything. And then Aquaman 2 comes out after the Flash.
Yeah, he says, he followed up with that. Because I was curious on that as well. He said the Flash movie resets some things and not other things. And it's shown in the movie what it will reset. It's understood at the end of it.
Okay, so and then like he said, he announced some other things, and then he said I guess the Superman movie is the actual reset, because he mentioned a couple TV shows that aren't reset, and then something is the reset. So I'm like, okay, why are there two resets?
We'll have to maybe they need a reset for the stuff that wasn't reset in the Flash movie.
Maybe I guess I don't know.
Time stuff, man, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Well, I mean, just Warner
It gets
Brothers.
confusing.
Warner Brothers handling of DC hasn't made any sense.
That is true. Except they did cast Henry Cavill, which was a great choice.
Except for
actually, all their casting was pretty good.
Except for the uncast Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Well,
that sucks.
The thing that sucks about that even more is that the fact that they want to have a young Superman, but they want to have an ancient Batman. Because he's got his own biological child who's old enough to be fighting crime. So people, I mean, I'm not a huge, I love Batman, but I love Batman mostly from like the movies and the Arkham series of games. I have never read a Batman comic book in my life. But
well, have you read any I'm not like a comic guy. I haven't read any comics.
I've read a few comics. I read a season of Spider-Man back in the day. I read some Star Trek.
So, just to clarify, neither one of us are like huge comic junkies here.
I've read some Star Trek comics.
That's we're talking superheroes.
You said comics, so I'm telling you about
okay,
comics.
Fine, that's fair. All right.
Comics I've read some Star
I guess
Trek
that
comics.
aligns. That aligns. Thinking.
It's just
see how it goes.
With Batman specifically, I don't know this from personal experience. That's where I was going with the comic book. I don't know this from personal experience, but there's like 3 or 4 other Robins they're skipping over to get to this Robin. Why are we needing Superman to be super young and then Batman to be ancient? Like, why? You should just keep Ben Affleck as Batman if you want a really old Batman. But like, shouldn't Superman and Batman be like the same age? Like, it's hard to wrap your around.
Well, they're not the same age.
It's hard to wrap your head around. Like, sure, Batman.
You mean like kind of like look physically the same age?
Yes.
Because Superman's like ancient already.
He's not ancient already. He was born. He was a baby when he was crash landed on Earth, and he grows up in real time. He is not ancient.
Well, he like lives forever though, doesn't he? He's like immortal.
I mean, I guess, but it doesn't super matter because it's not.
Oh yeah, I guess I'm omitting the Man of Steel movie. I forgot he like grows up there.
He grows up on Earth, like it's
true.
He's was raised by farmers. Martha, why'd you say that name?
What was that? It sounded like we should take that soundbite and put it into like a horror movie.
When I'm sick and I start channeling Ben Affleck.
The inner demon.
Why'd you say that name?
Oh, man. So, yeah, I think it's fine. I overall took it as like a net positive because I know you and me are, we've said it before, we're kind of done with Marvel, but like Marvel goes up and they show like, hey, we got like 7,000 movies coming out, and we're all like, oh, okay, more Marvel movies. But this one I was more like, oh, that's cool, like it's like something's happening type of thing. So there was a little bit more boyish excitement in me than
the biggest thing I like that James Gunn said is that he wants the same actor across animation,
that's going to be hard to do,
and video games.
That's going to be hard to do.
That's going to be kind of cool.
But think how hard that's going to be. Voice acting is different than normal acting. I mean, some of these, like
they're gonna be signing these people into some big contracts. Like you take this role, you are doing animation, you're doing video games, you're doing film
for 15 years.
TV show. These are going to be some big, and I like that idea. I like that everything's going to feed into one story. Like, I don't know what the story is because he's got like a bunch of like Suicide Squad sounding, like he's got these like weird things I've never heard of ever before, and then Swamp Thing, which is also going to tie into.
Which he said it was going to be a horror movie, and I believe like it's not going to be like Doctor Strange horror. I believe he's going to try to make it like terrifying, like actually horror,
like a legit horror movie. So I'm curious about seeing a Swamp Thing movie. I think that's interesting, and on a horror take. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of horror, but I think it's interesting to do that with like a superhero thing, and then have it tie into the the universe that they're trying to
We'll
do.
see how it has to go.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they do with that. So I mean, I'm interested tangentially, but like some of the stuff I have some questions on. But like we'll see.
Those questions will be answered. We just have to wait till 2026 when like the first movie comes out.
Yeah, I think 2025 was the first movie.
Oh, is that it? Blue Beetle, isn't that the first one? Or no, I guess Aquaman and Flash and all that are also count.
The first real movie is the Superman movie, 2025. James Gunn said.
Dang, that's still like 2 years away. Okay, so moving on from that, we're net positive on that. Horizon. I don't know if you saw this news or not. I got a little news here. The upcoming Horizon multiplayer game leaked. 10 minutes of gameplay leaked of it.
Ooh.
It has a different art style. It's kind of like an in between of like Fortnite and what Horizon is, and it's a Monster Hunter game. So that could be cool. Well, I like Horizon. You like Horizon. Monster Hunter's cool. We both like that too.
Well, Horizon was already kind of Monster Hunter, basically.
Yeah, but like now multiplayer. That sounds really cool. I would love to play a Monster Hunter Horizon game. That sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So that's all I got on that. I did watch the gameplay. The like 10 minutes or so leaked about it. It looked like Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. Do you have? I got more news. I can keep going.
I mean, I have one piece of news. It's a sad piece of news, though. Unfortunately, actress Anne Wershing passed away recently. She was the Borg Queen in Star Trek Picard season 2, and she was young. She was only like
she must. I was just gonna say
she was in her 40s. She was in her 40s. She died of cancer.
That sucks.
And she was also the voice of Tess in the Last of Us video game.
Yeah,
she was the voice of Tess. So that's where Brian would know her from, since she has not. Since Brian,
I was wondering where you're going, because I heard the name and I was like, "That's Last of Us," but I know you haven't like played the game, so I was wondering, is that where you know her from? I didn't know she was in Star Trek.
She was in Star Trek Picard.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Rest in peace, lady. You did a great job as the Borg Queen. I didn't love.
You will be remembered.
I didn't love Picard, but you did an amazing job. You were fun and cool and Borgy. I mean, always love me some
Borgy.
Always love me some Borg Queen.
Some Borgy. On to I guess this is still not good news, but like good news for people. Ubisoft had an earnings call after Forspoken came out.
Ubisoft did?
Ubisoft.
I just what's Forspoken have to do with Ubisoft?
Oh, I mean, not well. I guess technically this is true that they did. Forspoken did come out, and then Ubisoft did have an earnings call. I don't know. They're not correlated to one another.
Well, because Forspoken.
I don't know why I threw Forspoken in there.
Because Forspoken is the dumpster fire by Square Enix.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they had an earnings call. They're not doing so hot. They canceled a lot of games. They said they got 4 games in development. One of them is a new IP. But here's the other kicker. So they're down bad right now. Ubisoft is not making money. They're not doing a great job. And their next venture is going to be onto NFTs. So that's where they're dumping their next projects in, is going to be NFT stuff.
Oh, the thing.
So I mean, that should work out, right?
The thing that's already failed and most normal, rational people have given up on, except for again, we're looping back around to Donald Trump and his digital cards of himself that are also NFTs. So those were
NFTs.
NFTs.
I thought he was. Oh man, I thought he was creating a card game.
No,
like Magic.
No, they're NFTs.
Oh, okay.
So Ubisoft and Donald Trump, we're on the same idea front right here. They're ahead of the game.
They're gonna start making big bucks coming up. I'm sure. I'm sure fans are gonna be ecstatic when they get an NFT game.
An NFT trading card game. Can't wait.
Actually, I'm surprised I feel like that might happen. Don't take that back out of the universe. Get that back out of there, because an NFT trading card game might actually, could be a thing. Oh no, what have you done?
Oh,
I can see that becoming a thing.
You thought it was a thing with the Trump trading cards.
I didn't know they were digital. I thought they were
no,
you
they're
buy them
NFTs.
and then they ship them to you.
Really bad Photoshops and they're NFTs. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm gonna end on good news then. We're ending on some good news, unless you have more. Hogwarts Legacy comes out this week. The launch trailer came out. It looks great. I know the devs haven't done anything besides like Disney-esque games.
Disney-esque games for like PlayStation 3, I think.
Yeah, they did like Chicken Little. They've done Cars. They've done only like Disney stuff. They did a Rugrats game in the 90s.
Well, just because you've had to make a bunch of crappy games doesn't mean that's what you wanted to do. Because, I mean, in game development, like, you're kind of just stuck with whatever your studio's stuck with doing. Yeah.
Sure. So, everything that we're seeing for Hogwarts Legacy, it hasn't come out yet, but when this podcast comes out, it will be out. I think it comes out on Tuesday, Hogwarts Legacy.
No, it doesn't come out till, like, the 14th.
What?
The 10th. No. The 10th and the 9th if you have early access.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, before we podcast again, it'll be out. How about that? Mm-hmm. How about that? I hope it does well. It looks really cool. I have a feeling the devs care more about making us happy than the writer of Harry Potter. What's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Yeah, I was gonna say J.R. Tolkien, but I know that's not it.
J.R. Rowling.
I think the devs care more than Rowling does. So. We'll see how it goes. I hope it's good. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, much like, many people around this age group are. So, thumbs up. Good job. Trailer looks cool.
I mean, it does look really cool. I've always.
It looks too good to be true.
I've always been a skeptic of Harry Potter games because, like, I remember seeing some of the ones from, like, when the movies were out.
Oh, those are bad.
They always looked really bad. I'm like, this one looks really good, but I'm just scared of the Harry Potter video game curse, where they're all kind of bad.
Yeah. Well, so, also, to me, everything seems like too good to be true. Everything they're showing is just like, this looks like it's too good. Like, what's going on here?
Oh,
these trailers are amazing.
Oh, it's giving me Cyberpunk vibes, because, I mean, like, Cyberpunk also was, like, too good to be true.
Yeah, but Cyberpunk didn't let you use your own game footage when you were reviewing it.
That's true. And they also didn't let you see console versions.
Yeah, that too. This game is just like that. I think that's awesome that they're like, that shows, like, I know we've talked about it, but it shows that they're confident in their game when they're just like getting, influencers or YouTubers or whoever the heck, and they're just bringing them to the studio and they're like, hey, you want to play the game? And they just sit down and do whatever they want for 2 hours. That shows confidence, and they're able to record everything and just release it. So, I don't know, at least, if anything, the first 2 hours of the game are probably pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And, like, some people are going to be loving it anyway, just for the fact that it's recreated.
It's Harry Potter.
They recreated the school from the movies, like, picture perfect.
I guarantee you, there are going to be videos of people playing Hogwarts music, and then them just walking around the castle and going to upload that to YouTube, and it's going to be called, like, Hogwarts ambiance.
Hogwarts Slytherin tour, Hogwarts Hufflepuff tour, Hogwarts
there's gonna be a lot of that.
Gryffindor tour.
I guarantee you, when this game comes out, the next month or two is going to be, YouTube is just going to be overrun with just Harry Potter stuff. We're going to see a lot of Harry Potter stuff in the next month or so, or next week and then a month. Okay, there. That's my Harry Potter take. Good job, Harry Potter. Your books and, writing is like, if you dig into it, it really doesn't make any sense, but, like, it captured the hearts of many. Mine as well. It's just I'm just nitpicky, and if you compare them to other, like, fantasy stuff, it, like, doesn't hold at all. It's not even close.
Yeah.
The magic system makes no sense. The economics make no sense. None of it makes any sense. But that's okay, because you know what else doesn't make sense? RRR.
Good segue.
It's my segue for the day. So, we were bouncing around trying to decide what we were going to watch next, or talk about next, or whatever we wanted to do next.
Doozies in the ring, too, which will still probably come up.
Probably. But for some reason, we have, like, we've talked about this again. I know I've said that twice so far this podcast, but we do have a calendar where we follow and we will watch whatever comes up. For some reason, we didn't have one for this. We have like months before this and months after this, but there was just a blank spot in the change for this. I think we're good up until like at least June, and then we have stuff even after June. But we decided to give RRR a try. I heard good things about it. I don't know if you heard about it before I brought it up to you, saying we should watch this or not.
The only thing I knew about RRR before you brought it up was that I've seen Corridor Crew do just reactions to some of the shots.
Yeah, and they loved it. They loved everything I saw that was that they loved it. And yeah. I've seen other, like, I'll watch, top 10 movies of 2022 or whatever. And RRR kept coming up. And I was like, how, it's just like a Bollywood movie. It's like, how good can it be? Well, David, turns out we did decide to watch it, and turns out it can be something special.
It can in a good way something special.
David, why don't you give your rating first? Because I feel like we're going to be on the same wavelength here.
This movie comes in at a 9.
Great to hear. Great to hear.
This movie comes in at a 9. This movie has a sense of whimsy and just spectacle that you don't see in Hollywood movies anymore in this way. It's almost like watching a really old American movie.
Oh, modern.
But like with the best special effects, camera work, drone work. Like it's using all of this stuff, all of this modern technology to emphasize some like classic feel of like movies from like the 70s and 80s. Like I don't know, or the early 90s. Like I don't know how to describe the way this movie makes me feel, but I get a old Hollywood feel, but with all of this modern technology thrown in. And this movie was entertaining for its entire 3 hours and 5-minute runtime from beginning to end. I adored this film.
Yes.
Brian.
I am also going to give it a 9. So, for reasons that you also said, but ignoring that, I wanted just to bring emphasis to the story. Well, there was times where this movie was like crying. You're laughing so hard at something that happened in the movie. There's also points in the movie where things happen and you're like, oh man, this is like an impactful emotional moment. When, like, just for example, when Bean, who is he's like the shepherd guy, we'll get into him. He's getting like hung, or he's in like the town square and he's getting whipped by like his best friend. And I'm like watching this, and it's like, damn, this is like hard to watch. It's like super emotional. But then there's, another scene where it's a dance scene and they're having like a dance battle, and it's just like wonderful choreography. This is a great dance scene. The music was super cool. It's just like, it was like everything. This movie had everything.
To touch on the dance battle, like, it did not come out of nowhere. It was earned. It made sense in the structure of the film. Like it wasn't like just like, oh, it's coming out of nowhere. Like, they went to a ball, and like it's
yeah.
great.
But did you expect the dance? We'll back up after this. But did you expect the dance scene to be like that level of dance scene?
No, but like that. But that's the thing. Like, it didn't come out of nowhere. They didn't just start dancing for no reason. They were at a dance, and then it's like, oh, well, I'm going to show you what I can do.
Yeah, and then they like are really good at dancing for some reason.
And just the music too, because the guy takes over the drums and puts on like the steel drum that get that different
just banging around on them.
Yeah, it was
okay. So backing up a little bit before, because this movie, we're gonna have a hard time explaining what's going on in this movie, because it just seems, unless you watch it from beginning to end on your own, it's hard to tell the story about what happened here, because it's so like not what I guess Americans are used to, at least, because this movie's kind of all over the place, but does tell a story, and it can get kind of convoluted.
Well, the movie is an anti-colonialism film. It's a movie about anti-colonialism. The British people who occupy India. So basically, I think the story is pretty simple if you think about it.
It is pretty simple, but it's the way they get and tell this story is not.
The way they tell the movie is not, because like it takes a long time to like, it's a long movie, but like it does eventually make sense. Like they make a big deal about how much the cost of a bullet is, because it's made it's made by an Englishman. It's packed up on an English ship. English people sail it over. This bullet like costs like £1 or something like that. It's like it's really expensive to get bullets shipped over from England to India.
It was made by English workers, full pay. It was
full pay, yeah. It's just this awful thing, and so like they're like, you know, if they're just trying to if the English are just executing some one rowdy guy, they just like find another way to kill them. Don't waste a bullet. The bullet is more valuable than these people, which is just like awful. And
just think at how silly the movie is, but that's what they're trying to tell you.
It's this like kind of like really,
it deals with this super
serious topic.
Like, yeah. But like in the craziest, wild, and like respectful way, I guess. I don't know, man. It's awesome. But on the English side, they have a police officer. I called him Mustache Man the whole time. However, I do know his name is Raju, and I ignore that.
Raju.
He's Mustache Man. He is like,
he's got the epic, he's got the most Mario-ist mustache I've ever seen.
He does. He is like an army. I was getting to the point when I was watching this movie where I was like, I don't think this guy can be killed. I think he has to die when he chooses to die. So we're introduced by him. He is fire. So RRR stands for, you know, certain words, and the R in fire is part of the R. That's what I know. It doesn't start with R, but it does have an R in
They
fire.
don't care.
Yeah, that doesn't matter as long as the letter is in
as long as there's an R in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the fire of the movie, and he's like a police officer. He's on the English side, and he's trying to rise up the ranks to get access to guns to bring to his village. He kind of went on like a spy kind of mission where he was going to try to overthrow, I guess.
Yeah, he's undercover. He's trying to, you know, he's trying to free his people, because as a child, like, his dad got one gun, and they were able to hold off a small English army with a single gun, because the English are cowards. He's like, just imagine what we could do if we all had a gun. And so
exactly.
that's basically the plot of the film. He's just trying to be undercover, but we don't know any of this like way later in the film. So like,
you don't know any of it until like 2 hours 30 minutes into the movie.
It's you know, it makes sense, and it's a simple story, but the way they tell it is very complicated. It's not complicated. It's just they just wait to tell you.
It's just we're not used to it. We're not used to this type of storytelling.
Yeah,
so
it was delightful though, like just everything. So like the first 30 minutes is like Mustache Man's background and Bean's background, and then they meet at about the 30-minute mark at the scene that Brian has in his background. Amazing.
Well, we gotta say the way they're introduced. So Mustache Man Raju is standing in the middle of the desert, and there's like 1,000 people around this little enclosure out like crop of where police are standing, and he is just standing there, standing guard, and then he decides, you know what, these people have gone too far, and then he just jumps over the fence. They don't have superpowers.
No, the Englishman says, "Arrest that man who's out there," and like everyone's scared too.
Doesn't he throw some?
Yeah, he throws
something at.
Yeah,
he throws like a bucket of water. He throws something at like the general, and then they say, "Arrest that man." So then he decides, okay, I'm gonna go do that. He jumps into like 1,000 people that are all trying to kill him, and then he ends up fighting the whole army, and then they end up conceding to him because he's too good, and he ends up capturing the guy. He gets back, and then the way they just show his dominance, where he's like, I will do this forever, is that after he's done fighting the whole army, he just gets back and stands where he was. I thought that was so cool. It was such a powerful, just like, you ain't getting in here. Getting in here.
It was a really awesome scene, and it almost like felt like out of a zombie apocalypse movie, because it's just like there's a fence, and they're just like pushing the fence, and all the other policemen are scared of the fence falling over. Yeah, except him. He's like solid as a rock.
He just slams his foot down, and like they have this like anime dust go around his foot, like he puts a shockwave when he puts his foot down, and then all the people trying to break into the fence are just like, "We're good, we're out, we're done." So that's how they introduce him as like being a powerhouse. What this movie doesn't illustrate or show that anybody has superpowers, but it feels like they do have superpower. They definitely do have some type of elevated human abilities. On the way
power's over 9,000.
His power is definitely over 9,000. So they introduce Bean, who is a shepherd of, like a leader of an uncontacted Indian tribe or something like that. And the English come in and steal somebody from that tribe. So now he needs to go get this girl that the English stole from his people. So the way they introduce him is, of course, by a wolf chase where he's running through the forest while a wolf's chasing him. And then a tiger comes out, kills the wolf, and then the tiger starts chasing him. And then they end up capturing the tiger, where he throws like a green ball at his nose, and then the tiger, they kind of show that the tiger's dead, but I guess it was just put to sleep. I thought for sure the tiger was killed during that scene because he just threw a green smoke bomb at his nose, but I guess it was just to put him to sleep. So that's how they introduce him. So, we're already going wild here.
Well, he's like also holding a tiger back with his bare hands with rope.
Yeah, he's just holding the tiger. Oh, man, it was so cool. It was so cool. They had to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this movie saying that no animals were harmed in this.
No horses, no tigers, no donkeys, no...
Yeah, no deer. No, and you know what? They didn't even use... one of them was oxen. So it wasn't just like ox. It was oxen. It was deer, multiple tigers. There was every animal because they go to war. There's a part in this movie where some animals go to war.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just want to bring that up. So that's how these two are introduced. So Bean, the shepherd, goes to the city, and then Mustache Man, Raju, is in the city already, and they have different goals that they're trying to do. One's trying to rise up the ranks and do whatever it takes, and the other one's trying to get his tribe girl back.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up meeting each other, David. When they meet each other, how does that... They kind of turn into like the dynamic duo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the dynamic duo, how they become this dynamic duo?
So like a train is leaking oil and throwing sparks, so the train on this bridge like starts catching on fire, falling off, and there's this boy who is trying to get Bean a fish. And
yes.
And Mustache Mario Man is up on top of the bridge, and he sees the boy in the water with the fire, and he waves, and then Bean also waves, and it's
I forgot about that. They get this. They have this plan. So
that's never communicated with their voice. They just kind of wave at each other, and then like Bean.
They use a couple hand signals. They're like, "You here, this," and then I guess Bean and Mustache Man just understand after about probably 10 seconds of just doing hand gestures, the plan that they were going to do to get this boy off the river. What was that plan? Ended up being quite the convoluted...
It's amazing. So, Bean gets on a motorcycle, rides up to the bridge, and then Mario gets on a horse, picks up some rope. They ride the length of the bridge, and then they ride toward each other, and then they like grab the rope. They jump off each side, and then Bean grabs the flag, as you can see in Brian's picture. And then they swing under the bridge to each other, past the flag or whatever, and they save the boy. He wraps himself up. Oh, he gets the flag wet, so he can wrap himself up in it, and then he swings through the fire to be saved by the wet flag. It's insane. The logic makes sense in a way.
And the logic doesn't really make
sense. The logic doesn't make it
possible in real life.
It's impossible to do in real life. But the thing is, like, it's unbelievable, but they do it in like a believable way. Like, okay, you wrap the water thing around yourself to protect yourself from the fire. Like, I can follow it, like, on a 2-year-old level of, like, of why it would work. And it's just, this is just, like, an example of, like, the whimsy in this film. Like, the type of action. It's, like, so unbelievable, but the thing is, they play it straight. Like,
they're not joking around.
They don't play any of this stuff like it's a comedy. They play it straight. I don't know if that is what makes it more convincing. I don't know. Like, it's astounding to watch. It's a lot of fun the way they did these shots. And, like, there's also another scene where, like, they're riding on each other's shoulders and, like, they're acting like a 4-arm man. Like, one person's, like, shooting, other person's loading for them. They're, like, jumping, doing, like, and it's the entire thing. It's done straight. There's no, like, joking around, goofing off. It is done with, like, if 2 people could be the super killing force guy with 4 arms, this is, like, what it was like. It was bonkers. Like, this movie is so well done and so fun to watch. Like, I don't know, it's so good.
So they do rescue the boy in that scene, but what is, like, not even really shown or anything is that they grab the boy and they throw him, like, 100 feet to they just, like, toss him 100 feet so he doesn't have to be in the water anymore. They don't really put any emphasis on that, but it was like, it was funny that they're like, okay, I thought like when they were going down, it's like, okay, they're gonna scoop the boy up and hold him. No, they scoop the boy up, and then he's thrown like 100 feet and he's never seen again. We don't know if he survived.
The important part is that they hold they grasp arms, and then
this is the most important part of the scene is where they're grasping hands here.
They're grasping hands here, and then that's when we get like the title screen RR. Like we get the RR all together, and like that's kind of like the silent. That's the first 30 minutes of the movie, establishing these characters, and then this amazing action set piece at the beginning of the film. Like
so. Also, the mustache man, he's looking for Bean. That's like one of his, he's going around, he has a picture of a guy that kind of looks like Bean, but he can't believe it's Bean because they're becoming such good friends through this montage that they go through of riding. One of them was they go to a field and they steal a goat, but like they're like sneaking up to this field where they're like, we're gonna steal a goat, and then a guy comes out and starts whipping them, trying to get them around, and they kind of like dance away, like they're like, oh no, we're getting caught. Another scene is they're just like on a mountain cliff overlooking the ocean, the sun's setting, and one of them's riding a motorcycle and one of them's riding a horse next to each other. There's another part of this scene where there's a train going, and each one of them's on either side of the train, and they're like racing the train to see who's faster than the train. So they build up this like bond that they're like, we are amazing for each other.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, they don't know that Mustache Man is actually searching for Bean. So that's also discovered a little bit after the movie. After Mustache Man captures somebody that's in Bean's like squad. He ties him up, and this is where I think I don't know if this was the part where they figured out who each other was, but Bean Bean's guy gets captured by Mustache Man. Mustache Man is trying to torture him to get him information, and this is where the guy that's captured throws a snake at Mustache Man, and he gets bit by a snake. And then he's like, you're going to die in an hour. And this is where they transcend speech. They no longer talk through speech. They talk through like hitting things. At the beginning of the movie, they show those hand gestures. Mm-hmm. Then when Mustache Man gets hit with a snake, he starts banging on the ground, and Bean hears, and he's like, oh my God, that's my best friend. He just got bit by a snake. He's banging on the ground. I know what that means. So then he's saved. They're like, oh man, this movie's so hard to explain because so he gets bit by a snake. There's no cure for this, but Bean knows the cure, and all the ingredients he needs are within like 30 feet of him, and he just gets a bunch of like stuff. He gets some dirt. He gets a leaf. He gets
burning coal.
He gets like coal, and then he just like bangs it all together, and then he just like rubs it on his arm. He's like, "You're gonna be good. Don't worry about it. You're good, man." So that's where I think Mustache Man finds out
Oh, because he confesses that he's there looking for the girl or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where they figured out. So he does heal, while Bean continues to search
And then he
for this girl.
transforms into policeman.
Yeah, he transforms into mustache, that true mustache man, because he does grow a beard. It's only when he's wearing a mustache is he the police guy. But when he has a beard, that's how you know he's on our side right now.
Yeah.
So he heals from the snake bite and he starts punching the wall, and it's not.
It makes
I can't
his beard.
stress enough.
It makes his mustache bigger and his.
Yeah. I can't explain to you enough that nobody in this movie is a superhero, but they don't explain it. However, these two individuals, the Shepherd and Mustache Man, they do have superpowers.
So the best way to describe it is like it's like a live action anime. Or like they're not like really super powered, but they're kind of super powered.
Yeah.
It's
They do wild stuff until the plot decides where it's like, this needs to affect you now.
Yeah.
Because there's times where these two, shortly after this scene, they start fighting each other. Because the Bean decides to attack the palace with a bunch of animals. And this is a great scene. Oh man, this is a great scene. Because now the animals are just like tigers and jaguars are being thrown at people. The deer are running through and just spearing people with their horns. And this is where a fight scene happens between our two beloved characters here. And they couldn't look at the Mustache Man couldn't look Bean in the eyes, which was like a really powerful little statement where it's like, just put these handcuffs on. You can't even look at me. Just put them on, please, just put them on. Because it showed that they had such a bond. It was a powerful scene.
Like, why are you policemen? No, I didn't do anything wrong.
So, he punches a tiger. The Mustache Man punches a tiger, and with like a thing that holds fire, kills the tiger. I don't even know this. Oh my gosh! During this scene, what I was trying to get to is the plot decides when they get hurt, not when the characters decide they get hurt. Because during this fight scene, Bean has Wolverine claws for some reason, or Wolverine things that he holds, and he attaches them to his arm, and he just stabs Mustache Man in the heart with them. And then the next scene, he's just good. It didn't affect him at all. He gets stabbed in the heart with Wolverine claws. It doesn't affect him during the fight at all. Shows no signs of it. He ends up just capturing Bean still. And the next scene, he's just wearing a police uniform. So apparently that didn't need to affect him. I don't know what's going on there. The plot didn't call for it at the time. So yeah, then Bean's captured, and he finds that the girl is in the castle or whatever, and she's singing and drawing stuff on people's hands because that's a culture thing. I don't know much about Indian culture. So yeah, then oh man, what else happened in this movie? You brought up the when they piggyback each other.
But that's like the way end.
I can't. What else happens in it's? Well, we don't have anything bad to say about this.
We get the flashback to Mustache Man as a child and his dad. He learns how to shoot. It turns out he's an excellent sniper. So after he tortures Bean, he's like, oh, we gotta rescue Bean. He's like, I can't let this go on. So he arranges for the execution to happen near a river so that he can help him escape. And he sets up and tries to get him captured, but Bean doesn't realize that he's trying to help him. So whenever he does get out, Bean just kind of leaves him to be captured. And then Bean, meets Mustache Man's wife, and turns out that he's just been undercover the entire time, and he's like, oh crap, and then he's got to go rescue him, and that's when they do the on the shoulder thing, and it's amazing. Apparently there's some Indian goddess that gives Arju this power after he's been rescued with arrows and stuff. It's bonkers. The movie's a lot of fun. We've spoiled a lot of things about the movie as far as plot goes, but this movie is absolutely worth watching for the spectacle alone. go watch RRR, please. It's on Netflix. If you've got Netflix, go watch RRR, please.
Well, yeah, you also have to watch it in English dub too. Don't use subtitles. Ignore the subtitles; they're not needed. Just use because I think the English dub makes it even funnier. At least that's what I've been told, and that's what I experienced too. Because there was times I turned the English subtitles on and off to see the difference. There is a difference when they're using the English dub. What they're saying is different than the subtitles. Almost always, it was different.
It is different, but I think it's like more like the subtitles are probably more like a direct translation, and like the spoken English is probably slightly more Americanized.
Yeah.
Like so, it's a little bit easier to understand. But like, there's some people who speaking like the Englishmen speak English. Like you can tell they're speaking English because their mouth isn't different from like how they're talking.
Yeah.
Like so, like so. I mean, like they're. But the Indian people, are heroes. Their stuff is different, and then also they're speaking to an English girl because Bean falls in love with her, and this is how we get to the dance earlier that we mentioned.
And they can't. What's great about that is that
he's speaking English, but he's like speaking English like extra bad when he's speaking with her, and then the rest of the time it's fine.
Well, they can't understand each other. She says like 4 or 5 times, "I wish I could understand you," and he's just like talking like normal, like he's he's just talking. He's like, "I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying." He's like, "But this isn't gonna happen." And this,
and just like it's like, my name is not Madam. My name is Jenny. My name is short. It's Jenny, and he thought that entire thing was her whole name. He's like,
"Oh my God, how am I gonna remember that?"
It's like,
her
it's
name
so
is
long.
not Madam. It is Jenny.
It's so long. I don't know how to remember her name.
Her name is not Madam. Her name is Jenny, please.
But the English officer who kept talking about the price of a bullet gets his bullet in his heart.
Yeah, his bullet is paid.
It's great. Like
one part during when they're piggybacking during the piggyback section, what I thought was funny was like they're running around killing all the troops. They're like a 2-man army at this point. I'm pretty sure that I don't think anything could kill them if they really. There's no point. Physics don't apply to them. Like nothing works.
Despite them being a massive target that should have been
they're just running around. There's 2 points during this scene that I thought were hilarious. One, Bean reloads the gun for Mustache Man. So like Raju will be standing on his shoulders and he's shooting his gun around, and when he runs out, he brings the guns down and Bean just like just puts like the bullets back into the gun. I got a kick out of that. The other part I get, I was laughing. I was crying so hard during this scene. So they're running around trying to like get away and kill people and all that, and they get to like this like being built building where it's like not fully built, and Bean and Raju are standing there against their backs against the wall trying to hide from them. Well, they like recover or whatever, and a guy just walks by the wall, and like there's like these 2 people on top of each other, and Raju kind of like looks down at this guy because he's like 10 feet tall at this point, and the normal guy like looks up, and they just like punch him down. Oh man, it was a great scene. It was a great beat in that scene. Oh man, this movie's fantastic. I'm going on I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this is gonna be one of our favorite things we watched the whole year. I'm pretty sure.
I was actually gonna say that too. I'm like, this is probably gonna be like on our list somewhere for top of 2022.
Yeah,
or top of 2023, I guess.
Yeah.
Which that video,
even though it came out in 2022.
Even though our 2022 video isn't up yet.
Not yet. It's out there. So, I don't know. I feel confident that after watching this movie, I feel like we're going to watch other Bollywood movies because this was such a joy.
I think so. This, like, if we can find it on Netflix or whatever, I do want to watch other things. Because I've seen Corridor Crew talk about other Bollywood films, and, like, the scenes they show are, like, ridiculous and so much fun. And, like, the whimsy of these Indian Bollywood films are just absolutely amazing. And I just wish our some of our American movies were like more fun like this. Like, this movie was absolutely serious. This movie, like Brian said, like, it was very serious and emotionally tough to watch. Like, when Bean's getting tortured, like, that's a rough scene, and he like sings.
It was a hard scene. It was a hard scene to watch.
And he's like singing a song and like trying to get like trying to incite revolution by like just people watching him be tortured. Like it's brutal. It's a very brutal scene, but it's really powerful, and you've got all this stuff mixed in, and they've got like some just beautiful choreography with a couple dances and drone footage they use to marvelous effect. Like it is a stunning movie to watch from beginning to end.
Can
Like
you think
it's
of
beautiful.
any any other movies recently where that torture scene was like? I can't think of any movies recently that have come out where that torture scene was any torture scene or anything like that was done better than RRR.
Passion of the Christ. It's not recent, but it's.
Well, yeah, but
I
see,
mean,
like that's
like,
what we have to compare it to.
and Passion of the Christ was much more graphic and much harder to watch. But I mean, it's been decades, at least almost 2 decades, I think, since the Passion of the Christ came out. I saw it when I was in college.
Probably something like that.
If it's not 2 decades old, it's coming close to 2 decades old at this point. So I mean, that movie was rough to watch.
Yeah.
Oh
But it's
my
like
God.
that's the type of what we have to comparison here, because American movies, we don't get this. We don't really get, unless it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie or something like that. There's
But
movies
even
that
then,
aren't-
like,
they're not made like, it's not like, oh, this kind of sucks that this is happening, but like,
I mean,
it's not.
even Game of Thrones didn't have any torture scenes like quite this bad. I mean, granted, they waterboarded that poor lady, and they did it for real, and that lady said it was the worst day of her life. But I mean, like, I don't know, like just like being whipped to like death and like being tortured. I mean, like kind of Braveheart, but Braveheart's even older than Passion of the Christ. They tortured him a lot at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I guess. I guess they did, but
Also,
it's just that this movie has it all. It's got these hard scenes to watch that are very emotional. Character development is off the charts in this movie. Like you really feel for these two guys here. They're Oh my gosh, it's just the more I think about it, the more happy I am that it exists. Because in a sea of so many bad things that come out nowadays, and maybe it's time to just abandon Hollywood and go to Bollywood.
Maybe, who knows?
Because it's like all American movies. Like I can't. The only comparison I could really make to is this movie's feels like it's for everybody. There's something for everybody in this movie, and the only movie that's kind of like that, where it's like trying to appeal for a huge audience that's come out recently, is like Avatar. Avatar 2 is trying to cast as big net as possible, so everybody can relate and go see it and kind of enjoy it as a spectacle.
Yeah.
This movie's also a spectacle, and it has this giant net where it's like every possible emotion can be felt in this movie, where it's like you want to cry, you want to laugh, you want to see good times, you want to see bad times. This movie has all of it. So
it's
RRR.
absolutely wonderful movie, beautiful movie. I was blown away, man. I was blown away.
Yeah, I was not expecting. Before we watched it, I told you I was like,
I was expecting some funny action scenes. I was not expecting a movie to captivate me so much. Like it feels like Hollywood in its heyday, like early '90s, like when.
Well, I mean, it had other heydays. It's not like the 90s were the only time good movies came out.
Yeah, I know. But it just feels like more lately, like it's just things haven't been as good. Which is why I feel like it kind of harkens back to like, because I mean, I feel like in the 80s they didn't care about physics as much either. Like they were kind of like, I think they're trying to make movies feel more real nowadays.
Don't do that. And this movie proves that you don't do that. If this is the type of movie I get for the rest of my life, these kind of stories and this kind of action, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be real.
I mean, like even for a straight up like because like I would just say this is probably like a straight up action movie, I guess. Like I can't even think of an American action movie that I've liked this much in a long time. Like and that's why I have to think like back to the 90s. I mean, like I guess Dredd with Carl Urban. I really like that. That was just a straight up action movie. And,
that was a good movie.
And Dredd also feels like it's straight out of the 90s. Like it does not feel like a 2000s movie because like it's just we're stuck in a building, we're shooting people. It just feels like that's like all the plot there is. That's what it feels like from the 80, like an 80 Schwarzenegger or whatever movie. Just like
what we're doing.
We're just killing everyone.
We're just here fighting.
This is more story, more character development than your typical action movie, which also elevates this.
There is more character development in this between Mustache Man and Bean
Then there is in two Avatar
the entirety
movies.
of MCU.
Then
I'm more connected to Bean than I am to Thor. They do such a good job with this character development, man. You know exactly what Bean wants, and you can feel like he's heartbroken. He was like that scene where there's a couple scenes where he realizes that before he realizes what Mustache Man's true intentions were, where like you can feel like this guy's heartbroken that like his best friend that he's rode horses with and stole goats with that he's hurting that his best friend ended up being police, and you can tell that Mustache Man also feels this. Like, man, this is hard to do because he can't even look at, like, they're fighting and he can't even look them in the eyes anymore because he's so hurt that he's like, I have to do this because I have to save my village. But, like, you mean so much to me. It was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Man.
It definitely hits you in the feels. Like, there is great character development. Like, it's
great.
You just don't, like, none of this do you see, like, feel like anymore in American stuff. Like, in TV, you usually get more character development than in movies. For sure.
Yeah.
But like the character development for a movie was outstanding. The action was outstanding. The cinematography was amazing. All the actors were really good. I can't fault anyone in this film at all.
No.
The people who did the dubbing were really good as well.
It was just entertaining. So, to close here, David, what is your favorite moment of the movie?
I don't even know, man.
Well,
it's usually when Bean and Arju are together. Like it's just like
well that's by default.
Those are definitely highlights of the movie. Like the bridge scene, amazing scene when they're riding each other's shoulders. It was amazing. Like, I loved the effect of them constantly going back to the British guy talking about the cost of the bullet and how it's
cost of the bullet,
and then how that comes to bite him in the ass at the end of it. It's just, it's like movie making 101, just amazing stuff. You're doing it right.
I have two. The dance scene that we've already talked about. I loved the dance scene. It was so good. It was fantastic. The second part was towards the end of the movie where Raju, Mustache Man, is trying to stop the police people from getting to Bean because he's trying to run away from he gets the girl and he's trying to run away and the police guys are chasing him, and Raju gets like, he's beat up, man. At this point he's been thrown against a tree, got stabbed in the back. He's using everything he possibly can to defend Bean from getting caught, and the way he's doing it is like he's like a spider. He's like being thrown in the air, he's being thrown around, he's jumping around, and he like will get a guy in a headlock and then he won't let him go. Then he'll get somebody in like a leg lock and won't let him go, and then he gets somebody in another arm lock and won't let him go. And then he like uses his back to stop somebody, to like kind of crush somebody so he can't go. It was great, but those are probably my two favorite moments of the movie.
Yeah, the choreography in this film.
Oh, off the charts. This is not. I would like to know the history of these two guys. These two guys got to be in other like Bollywood movies that are top tier, because you don't get these dancing skills just by being in this one movie, or these like action. Like these guys have to be practice their whole lives for this dancing. The dancing is amazing. It's amazing, and I don't even like dance. I don't like well, dancing's cool and all that. Like when cool dancings happen, I don't know if it's, if everybody's dancing preferences are different, but when you see dancing stuff, you're like, oh, that's cool. When I was seeing these guys dance, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about dancing, but this is smooth.
Yeah, it was impressive all out. And then like, watching the ending credits is another dance scene, which was also captivating to watch. Like, I really can't fault this movie for anything. Like,
I got literally nothing. If somebody doesn't give this movie, the only reason I took a I don't even know why I took a point off. I kind of want to like go to a 10. Like this movie's like perfect. Maybe it's just because my American brain's like it's not American, and you know it's a different style of movie, so it's not exactly what you're looking for. But I don't know. I would like to know what people don't like about this movie, because it knows what the movie knows what it is. If you're watching the movie, you know what it is. So if you're like looking for like, well, this guy didn't actually get hurt in this scene, even though he got like shot 4 times. It's like, come on now, you know what movie you're watching here. Like we all understand what's going on. This is just to have a good time.
Sure, let's revise it. 10. This movie's a masterpiece. Go watch it. Like I don't know. Like you're right. I don't know why you gave it an I. Like this movie.
I thought for the past couple days. So when we were before we watched it, I messaged you and I'm like, hopefully you'll get like at least a 6, because I was. Hopefully you'll get like a 6, so we don't have to just trash on something. Because generally, when we watch stuff, we don't want the movie or film or whatever the heck we're watching to be bad. Because we don't want a podcast on something that's bad. So I was like, hopefully it's a 6. Because if something's a 6, that means it was bearable enough for us to like, I guess, consider it passed.
Yeah,
it passed. But after this movie, I thought for a couple days I was like, I don't want to give it like a 10, but I guess I'll give it a 9, because I was thinking the whole week I'm going to give it a 9. But now that I'm talking about it, I don't know why I would take a point off. I think we should move it to a 10.
Yeah,
I don't know why we would.
I can't find a fault in this movie.
Like we both fully understand what we were watching. Like sure that you could take a point off because the physics weren't right, but it's like they're not going for good physics. They know what they're doing.
No. I think the lack of physics was great. I think
it makes it even better. It makes it more entertaining.
It elevated the film. I was thoroughly entertained. Yeah, I gotta give this a 10. I guess. I don't know why I gave it. I don't know. It's weird. Like before because it's so like I think the reason I was thinking about giving it like not a 10 was because it was like it's kind of silly, and I don't feel like I'm knocking it for being silly. It just
I don't know.
That's like why. That's the only reason why I didn't give it a 10 off the bat. It's like because it's a weird movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it shouldn't get a 10. Like a weird movie? Why is this so good?
Yeah, I think...
We're just baffled.
Yeah,
we don't understand.
So I think we gave it a 9 at the beginning is because we don't know why. It's greater than the sum of its parts. Like I don't understand. Like it's amazing.
Yeah,
like where I said the Suicide Squad was less than the sum of its parts, because the Suicide Squad had a bunch of really great scenes, but they didn't feel like they really worked connected together. But this movie has a bunch of great scenes, and it works all connected together.
It does.
And this movie is actually 3 hours long, and it didn't feel like it.
That is true. Because I messaged you saying like I'm gonna watch RRR. I'm gonna have to break it into parts because it's so long. It's a work night. I can't stay up till like 2 a.m. or whatever watching it. But I watched the whole thing. I didn't even notice. Like it just was like I just started it and then it just ended. I don't know. I wasn't even like normally when I'm watching movies. It's like okay, let me check my phone and see like what text and stuff I got. I had my phone on me, but like. Saw when texts were coming in. I was just like, I'll watch this movie instead. I'm too invested.
This movie transfixed us. Like I didn't think I'd like pay as much attention to it as I did, because sometimes I watch stuff when I'm busy, and it's just like I was just like, whoa.
This is what I'm doing now.
Like, yeah, I'm watching this movie. I'm in for the ride. This movie is captivating. It's weird. I think because it's so weird is why I took a point off at the beginning. But like, I don't think that shouldn't be a detractor. I mean, earlier in the week I was thinking about giving it like an 8 because it is weird, but it's really good, but it's weird. And so like I just really like this movie, and like we said, it'll probably show up on our best of 2023 video. For probably if both of us, I imagine.
I would imagine. I can't. I mean, who knows who knows what we'll see in this upcoming year, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be. It's not going to be there. So watch RRR. This is our second time we've given something a 10. We gave the Lord of the Rings trilogy a 10.
Yeah. And
now we're giving RRR a 10. We don't give out 10s much. That's 2 out of who knows how many. Yeah. So go watch RRR. It has our glowing endorsement. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, you're not human.
Good old fun. Good old fun. Watch it with friends if you can. I think this movie would be even better if you had a bunch of people watching.
Oh yeah, I watched it by myself. I think it would be way more fun with friends, like getting the excitement of the room, the laughs, and everything.
I can imagine there's like times in this movie where like there's things that could happen where if you got like a bunch of people in the room, everybody's just gonna like get up and jump up and be like, "Let's go!" It's like, at least that's what I would have done. Maybe I would have been the only one, but I probably would have done that. Okay, well, email synthaholics@yahoo.com. That's all I got.
Do you know how much this podcast takes to send in a bullet?
This podcast was made by 2 English workers, full-time pay.
Full-time pay.
It was then put onto a boat and traveled with a full crew to get to India.
And then it was uploaded onto the internet, and then it was distributed to the world for you to see now. It was
only you could see us now.
Hand delivered to the internet.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Synthaholics out. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Like and subscribe.